so lucky to be here today with Saleema Nawaz, author of Bone and Bread, our current book club pick in the Cityline Book Club. And because many of our staff and our viewers are reading along with us, we asked them what questions they had for Saleema about her novel. So Saleema, are you ready for us?
I'm ready.
Great. So our first question comes from Tracy Moore, the host of Cityline, and she wants to know if a family member of yours has actually suffered from an eating disorder.
No, not that I know of. I have had a few classmates suffered from eating disorders, but nobody in my family.
So what drew you to writing about that then?
It's a good question. I mean, it was more just like the whole novel came from a story, and the story started from this image of these two sisters who stopped bleeding at the same time, one from an eating disorder and one from a pregnancy. And so it sort of came from there rather than somehow being drawn to the issue of eating disorders initially.
And so you mentioned, so it was a short story you wrote called Bloodlines, which originally featured the two sisters. Yeah. So our producer Carolyn actually wanted to know what drew you to take that short story and expand it into a full novel.
Oh, well, it was just that I couldn't rein it in. I was editing the story to send it out to magazines, some of which, like literary journals, have a word cap of 5,000 words. And I kept trying to edit it down and edit it down. I just had more and more and more and more to say. And you know, 120,000 words later, I think I finally said it.
That makes sense. I was also wondering myself, both with your short story collection, Mother Superior, and with Bone and Bread, you deal a lot with sisterhood and motherhood are two topics you focus on a lot, but you yourself, I know, are not a mother and you have no siblings. So I was wondering what draws you to writing about those topics, being that they're not something you know as much about personally.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's sort of two things. I mean, I think maybe you know, because I've never had siblings, I've always sort of been fascinated by that relationship and really interested in other people's siblings and the relationships they have with them. But of course, you know, with mothers and daughters, like I have a mother, I am a daughter, so I have some insight into that. And also I just think those first relationships, they're so important. They set the pace for what comes later. I mean, people always end up in therapy talking about their relationship with their parents and their siblings, so it just seems like there's a lot to unpack there. It's sort of like a blueprint for our whole lives, depending, you know, how it goes.
For sure. So on a totally different note, we are also talking a lot in amongst our staff about your Montreal setting. It's as Tracy Moore actually put it, she said it's almost like another character. Montreal
that's so nice of her.
So how important would you say like the setting is to your novel? How crucial was it that it had to take place in Montreal?
Yeah, I mean, the novel really sort of arose out of me moving to Montreal and living in Montreal. And I wouldn't say that when I first planned it, it was like inherently Montreal, but somehow it was everything to do with the bagel shop and all these other sort of interesting Quebec things started creeping in that I didn't plan on, like language politics and referendums and issues about immigration that I never in a million years would have planned to put into the novel, but they were just so inextricably tied with the setting.
Yeah, and actually one viewer question we had was from Carol, and she was wondering about the bagel shop setting. She thought that was really well done, that you really captured the authenticity of the bagel shop.
Oh, good.
So we were wondering if any more about that, like just a love of bagels? Or?
I don't have a love of bagels, and I don't like bagels that much, but this is one of those things where you take away the magic of the you know, imaginative impulse, where I confess I actually did live right next to Fairmount Bagel. When I first moved to Montreal for 7 years, and I basically could not live closer to the bagel shop than if I had lived on top of it. So when I was first writing this story, I was smelling the bagel smells, listening to the bagel boys out on their break. So I was totally drawn from life.
That's wonderful. But you don't like bagels?
You know, they're okay. Sometimes I can enjoy a bagel, especially like late at night. I come home, it's 2 in the morning.
It's a good
fresh
snack.
Bagel. It's amazing, yeah.
You can't beat a fresh one for sure. Well, thank you so much, Saleema. Those were our questions for you. So thanks for joining us all the way from Montreal on Skype. And we hope that you're all reading along with us at home to Bone and Bread by Saleema Nawaz. Thank you so much.